This is the Birmingham Women's and Children's Hospital Guide to assessing a Diasend download for children and young people with type 1 diabetes who use multiple daily injection therapy with an expert meter. To help you use this video to its full potential, you will need your Diasend assessment guide, a calculator, your Diasend download. This video will show you how to follow the VIP process of assessing a download. The VIP process makes looking at downloads really simple. V means you must first look at your values. I means you must then assess your current insulin doses. P requires you to observe your blood glucose patterns and finally to make a safe and effective plan. To get your Diasend download, upload to Diasend, log into Diasend, click on the Comparisons tab, then the Logbook tab, then select the last 2 weeks. Research has shown that people with type 1 diabetes who do 5 to 10 finger pricks per day have more in-target blood glucose levels and better control over their diabetes. The download you are looking at here shows that there are 4.2 blood glucose values per day, which is fewer than ideal. For best diabetes control, it is best to be in the green zone. To be in the green zone, you need an average blood glucose of 6 to 8 millimole per litre. Your average blood glucose tells you what your long-term marker, the HbA1c, will be. It is recommended that this is no higher than 6.5% or 48 millimole per mole. We know this gives you the best chance of having an energy level and mood similar to other young people who don't have diabetes. That's why all the smiley faces. This will also keep you healthy in the future. The download shows this person's average blood glucose is 9.9 millimole per litre, which if it stays at this level for the next 3 months, the HbA1c would be 7.5% or 58 millimole per mole. If you have an average blood glucose that's in the amber or red zone, it might be having effects on your mood or energy levels that you haven't realised. Moving closer to the green zone will improve this. It is normal to have 3 to 6 manageable hypos over 2 weeks if you are aiming for the ideal target HbA1c and average blood glucose. Any less and you're probably not getting enough insulin somewhere. If you're having hypos which you can't manage yourself, you need to get in touch with the diabetes team immediately. The download you are looking at shows this person has 2 hypos in the last 2 weeks. This suggests there is room to increase the insulin, especially as the average blood glucose is 9.9 millimole per litre. Patterns can be identified by looking at the colours. The high blood glucose levels are already in the red, the low blood glucose levels are in blue, and the blood glucose levels in target are in green. What patterns can you see on this download? There are high blood glucose levels most days with no hypos. There seems to be a pattern where there is high blood glucose, red colour, that stays high for several readings after that. It can be difficult to find patterns and identify causes, so some of the questions you could ask yourself are: have there been any changes in routine, illness, school versus holidays? In this example, it is a normal 2 weeks at school. Accuracy of carbohydrate counting and giving all insulin doses for snacks. In this example, the person is carbohydrate counting accurately and bolusing for all snacks as they weigh foods regularly and use food labels. If you are guessing a lot of carbohydrate values at home and not weighing regularly, this may cause you some unwanted highs and lows with no patterns. Treating hypos adequately. In this example, you can see after every blue there is a retest where the level has come back to green, showing effective hypo treatment. Activity management. In this example, the person has been very active on Sunday the 23rd where they hiked a local hill. This is not usual activity for this person. Better planning in the future would have prevented the hypos the following day. But in terms of overall picture, these 2 days should not alter the therapy adjustment. Is the background insulin too much or too little? Assess the blood glucose change from before bed to waking. What happens most of the time? In this example, most of the time, the blood glucose level rises from bedtime to waking. This suggests the background insulin may need making stronger. Is the bolus insulin at different times of day too much or too little? Assess the blood glucose before meal when in target, green. What happens to the blood glucose to the next meal? Is it still in target? In this example, most of the time, the blood glucose level before meal does not change by the next meal. This suggests the insulin to carbohydrate ratios are okay. Are the correction doses working when the blood glucose level is high? Identify times when a correction is given, red. What happens to the blood glucose by the next meal? Has it returned to the target, green? In this example, when the blood glucose level is high, red colour, it does not come down to target, the green colour, at the next meal or within 4 hours. This suggests the correction, otherwise known as the insulin sensitivity factor, is not strong enough. The patterns we have identified here and potential reasons for the patterns are mostly rising from bed to waking, likely to need increase in background insulin. Correction doses are not working, most likely due to the insulin sensitivity factor not being strong enough. If you wish to check with the diabetes team about the patterns observed and changes to make, contact them. If you feel confident to make changes, then continue with the assessment. To help guide your changes, it is important to know how much of your total daily insulin does come from background basal insulin and how much comes from bolus insulin. A simple calculation can be done to work this out. Add daily background to total daily bolus insulin to get your total daily dose. 10 units of Lantus background insulin plus Nova Rapid 8 units with breakfast, 8 units with lunch, 10 units with evening meal and 2 units with snacks gives a total daily dose of 38 units. Calculate your background percentage of total daily dose of insulin by following this sum. Background basal insulin units divided by total daily dose times by 100. Using the above as an example, 10 divided by 38 times 100 equals 26%. The usual background insulin percentage expected is 25 to 50%. The background percentage is 26%, which is right at the bottom of the range. Now that you have identified patterns and checked the basal background insulin percentage, you can decide which therapy adjustment is necessary. In this example, the therapy adjustment would be, with the rise from bed to waking most of the time and background insulin at only 26%, it would be advisable to start with increasing the background insulin. A second option after assessing the effect of the background insulin would be to make the insulin sensitivity factor stronger. Now you have identified the change needed, it is time to calculate a safe adjustment. First, you must find your current settings. If you are on an expert meter, your current settings can be found on Diasend. Go to the glucose tab and click on the meter settings. If you calculate your doses manually, write down your current insulin to carbohydrate ratios and correction factors. In this example, the adjustment is needed for 10 to 20% increase of the background insulin. For a 10% increase, you would do 10 times 1.1, which equals 11 units. For a 20% increase, you would do 10 times 1.2 equals 12 units. Now let us set the plan. Increase blood glucose tests to 5 to 10 per day. Increase Lantus to 11 units conservative or 12 units aggressive. Check blood glucose at 2 to 3 am after Lantus increase over the next 2 to 3 nights. Review progress in 1 to 2 weeks. Now you have made a plan, you need to decide how you will know if it has been successful. The best way is to pick one criteria and review if it has been achieved in 1 to 2 weeks. In this example, the focus is reducing the average blood glucose. If successful, the average blood glucose would reduce by an estimated 1 to 2 millimole per litre, taking the blood glucose from 9.9 to 8 to 9 millimole per litre. There may be an increase in hypos, and between 3 to 6 hypos in a 2-week period is normal. We know from experience it takes time and repetition to become confident in making changes. We also know that following the step-by-step process we have just gone through will allow safe and effective therapy adjustments. We encourage you to be persistent and are here to support you on your journey to more effective self-management of your diabetes.